Hey guys, so today we are going to discuss America being Egypt and Moses seeing the promised land, which is America. Now, I re-uploaded an older video I had made called The Dark Truth of America because some of the things I will be discussing I laid out in detail in that video. So if you have not watched it and you are confused about the Osiris myth and how it became America, then check that video out. I would suggest you check it out anyways because there's a lot of good information in there. You may want to watch that one first. So there's a lot of different sections to cover in this video. So like I did on the body snatcher video, I'm going to separate it into sections. And I am going to show you Moses' last walk at the end of the video. I want to use the beginning of the video to show you different proofs and understanding showing you that America is indeed Egypt. And then when I show you Moses leading Israel out of Egypt to the Promised Land, you will be able to see it. So, this video has been in the making for a while. I haven't felt led to make it until now. I have referred to America being Egypt many times. I have brought to attention a lot of the things I'm going to discuss in different videos. But now is the time to make this video where I can show you that America is indeed Egypt and that Moses did indeed die here. So, let's dive right in. As we get closer to the end, the truth will become more and more precious, and the people that hold it will have a great responsibility because the world will reject what they have to say, persecute, hunt them down, and kill them. These truths are hard, and it takes a certain kind of person led by God to bring these truths to the surface. So choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Welcome. So let's start off laying some groundwork with Scripture. In the earth, we are taught that kings are over princes. But the reality is, princes are over kings. Because princes are spirits, and kings are humans. As we can see here in Ephesians 6, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So these fallen entities, these principalities, rule over us from the second heaven. Now, this tells us that princes are not human, okay? Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Therefore, we're not wrestling against humanity. Okay, that's not the battle. This is a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. We wrestle against principalities. This is where the word prince comes from. Against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So these principalities are fallen entities, fallen angels, who watch over and control the state of the world and direct it towards its final end. As we can see here in Daniel, an angel was coming to answer him for the Lord. And he says, "Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. So what you're seeing here is an angel trying to get to Daniel to relay God's message. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood him for 21 days, 3 weeks. So this is the prince of the kingdom of Persia is an entity, a fallen angel, who is battling the angel coming to bring the message. But then Michael, one of the chief princes, okay, he's one of the archangels of the Father, came to help. So you can see here that princes are angels, okay, they are entities. So now that we know that angels are princes and that they rule over different kingdoms, let's check out Revelation. Revelation 11:8 says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt." So here we're seeing that these principalities where they rule over, that area spiritually becomes the other areas they rule over, because it is the same spirit. Look at it like a king ruling over France and Brazil and Canada. So everywhere that king rules, there's going to be the same system set up. It's going to represent that king. Same with these principalities. When they rule over these places spiritually, they all become the same. So this great city is also Sodom and Egypt. So we can understand that America and Egypt are being run by the same spiritual entities. And there are 72 princes over the land of America. One leader, but 72 principalities. Of course, the one leader is Lucifer, the 7 Satans. So, principalities do their work. They answer to the Satans. A clue that the Lord has left us to know which cities correlate with each other. There is a list of sister cities. Now, the Bible says that the Antichrist is going to sit in the temple of God. Many people incorrectly understand this to be the third temple after it's built in Jerusalem over in the country which shall not be named. Well, I personally believe that Obama will take his seat in New York City at the UN headquarters, Rockefeller Plaza, where they have Prometheus rising up out of the pit. So, this is a list of sister cities that are in the U.S. And you can scroll down and see how they coordinate. So we got Alabama. So Birmingham, Alabama is sister cities with China, Ghana, Senegal, Japan, Jordan, all these. So all these different cities throughout the world are a sister city with Birmingham, Alabama. So on and so forth. So I've opened one up for New York. And if we scroll down to New York City, you will see here that New York City's sister city is Jerusalem. So the same entity that's ruling over Jerusalem in this nation state is ruling over New York City. Okay, this is how this works. This is why these two places are connected. New York City is Mystery Babylon. This is why so many of the modern day Jewish community live in and around New York City, because it is a sister city. They are under the same principality. This is why New York City will be destroyed. It is the city of Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, is America. The whore of Babylon is Kamala. And New York City will be destroyed. I believe this is where Obama will take his seat. So, just wanted to throw that in there. Now, if we go and look up the list of twin cities for Egypt, we can scroll down, and Giza, where the Great Pyramids are, Los Angeles, the city of fallen angels. Giza, the land of buried pharaohs, right? So they tell us. They want us to believe the pyramids are tombs, but they obviously are not. These are what sister cities is, okay? I'm showing you this because this correlates with the Bible and principalities ruling over more than one place. Now, let's get into doing some correlations between Egypt and America. So, we have the Luxor in Egypt. We have the Luxor in Las Vegas, with its walkways, with its little laying goats, with its pharaohs, with the Sphinx, with the pyramid. We have the little, this place is full on Egyptian. Here we have Google Earth, okay? You can see the Sphinx. Let's see. You can see the obelisk, the pyramid. You can see over here, 2-step pyramids. You can see that this is all Egyptian. Okay, it's all Egyptian. They got hieroglyphs showing Horus, Osiris, Isis. Okay, showing all kinds of stuff. Anubis. We're going to cover these characters a little bit too. So you can see, this place is totally set up to reflect Egypt. Okay, what else? This is Memphis, Egypt. Okay, these are the pyramids and the structures in Memphis, in Egypt. Look at all the serpent heads. Bunch of cobras. Okay, pyramids in Memphis, Egypt. Why am I showing you this? This is a pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. From 1897, this picture was taken. Now, this is the Pyramid of Cheops. Now, remember this name, because I'm going to show you this also in the Grand Canyon. So here, today, we have this statue of Ramses and this pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Egypt. Luxor, Egypt. Luxor, Las Vegas. Now let's start diving in to the Grand Canyon, because this is where it gets really crazy. Okay, now this whole area is the Grand Canyon. Now remember, I wanted you to remember the Cheops Pyramid, okay? Let's zoom in on the Grand Canyon here, which, for the record, was not carved out by the tiny Colorado River. It was destroyed by the Lord. And we will start right here at the Cheops Pyramid. So right here in this area is the Cheops Pyramid. Now, one thing I want you to look at when I'm showing you all these places is that they're all on top of star forts. You can see in the landscape that they are star forts. Let's have another look. Here's another image. Now we'll go over here, just so I can keep these in order. You can see we have the Tower of Set. We have the Osiris Temple and the Tower of Ra. These are both the sun god. Okay. Here's Horus. Here's Isis. So Set killed Osiris, cut him up into 14 pieces. Isis, his wife, put him back together, and they made Horus. And if you watched the Dark Truth of America video, then you will know that story and how it ends up. But let's have a look at some of these places. Here is the Tower of Set. This is a view from the Tower of Set. This is the Tower of Set. Inside there are hieroglyphics, cave drawings. You can see here the serpent goes around this ring and comes around to eat its tail, the Ouroboros. Okay, now some people might think that these are Native Americans, Indians, but what I am going to propose to you is that the Indians are the remnant of the Egyptians, and that their cultures are very closely intertwined. They both believe in the same gods, they just call them different things. And don't forget, history is his story. This has been a narration we have been taught to mislead us, to keep us from understanding and knowing the truth. Here's the Tower of Ra. Well, a view from it anyways. There are no actual pictures of the tower. Here is Osiris's temple. There's no photos on Google Earth, so we can go to Wikipedia and see one. So here we have Osiris's temple. You can see on top, very pyramidal. Also, very star forty. See all the points? Okay, this was a defensive structure. Star forts were made to defend and to keep things safe. Here we have Horus's temple. Again, no pictures, so we'll go on Wikipedia. You can see the temple of Horus. Now it's also showing you that this is a view from the Tower of Set. But you can see, again, very star forty. Its parent peak is Osiris's temple. Osiris just happens to be Horus's father. And here are the outlets of the star fort and remnants of a pyramid. Now, I'm cruising through this because I don't want this video to be 10 hours long, but I highly suggest that you come on in and check these things out for yourself. You can spend more time on them, do some exploring, see what you can find. Shiva's temple. Now, some people will say, wait, Shiva, that's a Buddhist god. Well, understand that the Egyptians were pagans. They believed in false gods, okay? And then we only have the narration. We have what's been interpreted and given to the modern day society. So these gods are all representative of certain entities all over the world. There are only so many entities that rule over Earth. And in different countries, they're called different names. Just like I've shown you in the Roman and the Greek gods and the Egyptian gods. All the same gods, all the same kind of story, but different names. Just like we have the story of Nimrod, Osiris, dying and being resurrected by Semiramis, Isis, giving birth to Tammuz, Horus. Same story, same principalities, different names. So let's have a closer look at the Shiva temple. Once again, very star forty. You can see star fort, the inlets, the outlets. Now your brain might want to tell you that's just natural wear. Well, you show me anywhere else in the world where natural wear looks like this. Jagged points coming out all the way down the hills. This was a design. And don't forget, there used to be giants and fallen angels on the earth, which could do things we could not do. Here's another view. Now, if you can't see this star fort, then you're just not looking. Okay? Look at the inlets and the points. This is a star fort. Look up star forts if you don't know what they are or what I'm talking about. Look at the difference in the nice line and coloration here. Forget about what you've been taught about sediment and millions of years and all that noise, because that's all it is noise to distract you. This was built on top of this. Okay? This was a temple. The temple to Shiva. Shiva, like outside of CERN, the god of destruction. Let's look at Isis's temple. Once again, star 40. Here you can see there used to be some kind of temple or pyramid on top. Remnants of an old structure. Star fort. Buddha's temple. This peak right here. Here you can see it again and again with the points. Can't see as many here, but you can see these outlets, okay? And clearly, up here has multicolored rocks mixed in, which have none of them down here. This was a structure of some sort. Destroyed, of course, by the Lord. Brahma Temple. Here you can see another temple built on top. This was a two-layered temple. This was the old earth, and this was built on top of it. You can clearly see that these structures are built on top of all this red rock. This used to be a temple complex. Zoroaster Temple. And again, very Star Fort-esque. You can see a little window here. Here it is here up top. And look at all the Star Fort action. Okay? This was carved away. Not by water, because none of this sediment would be here if this was carved away by water. The sediment would have gone down the river. Okay? The narrative just is complete poppycock, and it doesn't work to the thinking mind. Here we have Jupiter's temple. Right here. Another pyramid. And this is the river they want you to believe carved all of this. because they have the world convinced that this world is millions of years old. But it is not. This was destruction on a level no river could make, even in 50 billion years. Here is the temple of, what are we looking at again? Jupiter. Sorry, there's so many I get confused. Alright, now we have Vishnu. Vishnu's temple. We're going to talk a minute about Vishnu and Shiva in a second. So this is Vishnu's temple. Once again, pyramid structure built on top of this land. Okay, this land was carved out on purpose, and this was destroyed by power that could only come from the Lord. Look at the line. This is not sediment settling on top of something. This is a plateau where a temple was built. Here we have Solomon's temple. You can almost see the pillars. I wish I could zoom in on this picture. Looks very temple-y, does it not? You can see pillars. This is completely round here. And look at the lines. Okay, different pillars up here. This was a multi-layered complex. Temple of Solomon. Now, I know your mind wants to tell you that none of this stuff belongs here. They probably just named it these things. But tell me this. Why would they name all these things temples, number one? Why would they name them after foreign gods that have nothing to do with America? Okay? They're mostly all Egyptian gods. And then we have, of course, Solomon, Jupiter, which is I believe it's a Roman god or a Greek god. Then you have Vishnu and Shiva, which are Indian gods. So let's look up Vishnu, because, check this out. If you look up the Grand Canyon's layers, okay, Grand Canyon's 3 sets of rocks, this is their narrative, okay? And if you look down here at the great unconformity, okay? So, to not conform, you get the Vishnu basement rocks. So this has a foundation, okay? The Grand Canyon, keep this in mind because I'm going to show you something really cool. Well, not really cool, but mind-blowing. So Vishnu is the foundation of these 3 layers. Okay? Why is this so important to understand the Grand Canyon? Because Vishnu is the supreme being within whatever this says. Vaishnavism, one of the major traditions within contemporary Hinduism. Vishnu is known as the preserver within the Trimurti, the triple deity of supreme divinity that includes Brahma and Shiva. Here we have Vishnu's temple, Brahma's temple, Shiva's temple. Now Vishnu is the head of the Trimurti, which is the triple God. This is the satanic Godhead. And Vishnu is the foundation for the three sets of rocks, the Godhead. Okay, the demonic Godhead. Vishnu is the supreme being who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. Vishnu is revered along with Shiva and Brahma. So what we're seeing here is the foundation stones, the Antichrist, and the house that's built upon it is the false Trinity. And then all these false god temples were built upon it. Okay, I hope you guys are seeing what I'm trying to show you. Now, this is Egypt. Not just here, but the surrounding areas. Nevada, New Mexico, down into Mexico, Arizona, up into Utah. Like, this is Egypt. Okay? This is where God's people were led out of. Now, while we're on the Grand Canyon, before I go to the next section, if you search for Egyptian artifacts that were found in the Grand Canyon, you will get many, many articles. Now, the Smithsonian originally led this discovery, but has since been burying all the evidence and denying any understanding or any knowledge of not only the people they sent, but of the artifacts that were recovered. Now, if you think the Smithsonian is on the earth and part of the country so that they can help us to know what happened in the past, that is just a deception like NASA. Okay? People think that NASA is here to help us discover space, but what they're really here to do is lie to us about there being space, and the same thing goes with the Smithsonian. They like to lie to us about the narrative of creation and how the earth came to be and their narrative of the history, and when things prove them wrong, they gobble it up, say they're going to investigate it, and then bury it, and you never see it again. So, let's check out one of these articles. Lost civilization in the Grand Canyon was, wait, Egyptian? This is a true story. Some of you probably heard this before. Some of you may not have known it, but I'm going to share it with you. The Grand Canyon might once have been the home of entire underground civilization. But where are they now, and why did they abandon the canyon? In 1909, when purported Smithsonian Institution explorer G.E. Kincaid discovered strange caverns during the expedition directed by Smithsonian anthropologist S.A. Jordan, the entrance to the cavern was nearly inaccessible. But Kincaid was able to get in and make an incredible discovery. The enormous caves, which radiated out from center cavern like spokes on a wheel, were full of artifacts, including statues, copper weapons, even granaries full of seeds. Its size indicated that 50,000 people could live inside comfortably. Now remember, prophecies in the Bible say that when the Lord comes, that people will hide themselves in the mountains and in the caves, and will pray for rocks to fall on them so the Lord can't get to them. Just throwing that out there. What's been before will be again. Nothing new under the sun. So let me show you what the drawing of this cave looked like. Here is the main cavern, and here are the spokes that it's talked about, different tunnels coming off of the cave system. This is a drawing of, or a diagram of the cave and the different rooms that were in the cave that they could get to. But even more amazingly, the artifacts didn't match up to anything in the known record. Rather than appearing to be of Native American origin, as one might expect, the objects had distinct Egyptian or Tibetan designs. Could there actually have been an entire civilization of Egyptians living there? If so, how did they get there? Well, this world used to be one land. Remember that. And the Egyptians were here. They might very well have been from here. And the Egyptians that stayed and are left over from this period of time became the Native Americans. Now, the story caused a huge sensation when it broke in Arizona Gazette in 1909, but was soon met with skepticism. The Smithsonian has no record of either of the scientists nor their discoveries and firmly quells any claims that Egyptian artifacts have been found in either North or South America, and no one has been able to find these supposedly massive caves since. Was this some elaborate hoax, maybe perpetrated by the Gazette papers? Absolutely not. That's certainly a possibility, but it doesn't fly for many conspiracy theorists. You mean people that can think. Some argue that the Smithsonian Institution has purposely wiped Kincaid and Jordan from the records and actively destroyed artifacts that don't agree with the status quo of human history. That's exactly right. This is what the Smithsonian does. They are a propaganda network. They give you information of what they want you to believe. Just like Franz was showing us in his video on the history of the education, this is part of that propaganda. This is the narrative. They feed you what they want you to think because they don't want you to think. They just want you to accept and look at them like, oh, they're the historians, they're the archaeologists, they're smart. I should listen to them because they know what they're talking about. They went to college and have studied this their whole lives. No, they're liars. And they're ignorant of the truth because they believe in a lie. They don't have the truth, so they can't figure out the truth. So let's look at a couple things in this article. So in this cave system, they found a shrine. Over 100 feet from the entrance is the cross hall, several hundred feet long, in which are found the idol or image of the people's god sitting cross-legged with a lotus flower or a lily in each hand. If you want to know the significance of the lotus flower, go watch my Kamala is Artemis, the Whore of Babylon video, and you will see I did a dive into the lotus flower in that video. The cast of the face is oriental, and the carving in this cavern. The idol almost resembles Buddha, though the scientists are not certain as to what religious worship it represents. Taking into consideration everything found thus far, it's possible that this worship most resembles the ancient people of Tibet. Now, here is a 3D rendering of the image. This is what Buddha looks like, but understand, as I said, these gods are called many different things. And you can see by these rays coming out the back that this is indeed the sun god. Ra, Osiris. Okay, this is Osiris. You can see there is Egyptian hieroglyphs underneath. Now, how do I know this is Osiris and that this cave system is Egyptian? Well, let's continue. We'll cruise down a little further and we'll get to the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphics on all the urns or walls over the doorways and tablets of stone which were found by the image are the mysterious hieroglyphics, the key to which the Smithsonian Institute hopes to yet discover or bury. These writings resemble those on the rocks about this valley. The engraving on the tables probably has something to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphics have been found in the peninsula of the Yucatan, but these are not the same as those found in the Orient. Some believe the cave dwellers built the old canals in the Salt River Valley. Now, here you can see the hieroglyphics in this image. This image is of Isis. Okay, this is Isis. let me show you. Here in the Osiris myth, you can see that this is Osiris, this is Horus, and this is Isis. You can see here it says Isis is on the right. Notice the headdress. Okay? Let's go back and look. Notice the headdress. This is the goddess Isis. So now we have Osiris and Isis inside the cave. Here is the crypt. The tomb or the crypt in which the mummies were found is one of the largest of the chambers, the wall slanting back at an angle of 35 degrees. Look at this. This is like something out of the Mummy movie. So I will leave these links in the description so that you can read over this whole article, because I'm not going to. But I just wanted to show you that this is indeed Egypt. This area of the United States was Egypt. Now, a couple of more things I want to show you, and then I will move on. Anubis. Okay, Anubis is the god of funerary rites. He's the protector of graves and the guide to the underworld. In the ancient Egyptian religion, usually depicted as a canine or a man with a canine head. So Anubis is a canine or a man with a canine head who is the god of the underworld and guider of the dead. This is an ancient Egyptian religious god. Well, why do I want to show you this? Because if we go over here and look up Xolotl, this is an Aztec god. Okay? Americas. In the Americas. Xolotl was a god of fire and lightning. He was commonly depicted as a dog-headed man and was a soul guide for the dead. Okay? Now, he also is the god of twins. And look what happens, I found this interesting. If you hover over twins and it gives you the Wikipedia, two guys from NASA pop up. Could have shown any twins in the world, but they show two guys from NASA. How funny. And they don't even look that twinny. Anyways, he's the god of monsters, misfortunes, sickness, and deformities. Xolotl is the canine brother to and twin of Quetzalcoatl. You know, Q. He makes an appearance on this channel quite often. So here we have an Egyptian god and a god of the Americas who is exactly the same. And we know that Quetzalcoatl, Q, is the power over America right now, the spirit of Antichrist, the feathered serpent, Amaru, whose land is Amaruka. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my videos on Q, especially the one called Q Has a Name. That was a deep dive into Q. So, here we have more evidence of and similarities of these gods being not only Egyptian, but American, an American Egypt. Now, Anubis had many different roles, and by the Middle Kingdom, he was replaced by Osiris in his role as Lord of the Underworld. So Anubis was replaced by Osiris. Osiris was killed by Set, chopped up into 14 pieces, and then was replaced by Horus. Horus is George Washington. Horus has the head of a falcon. This falcon just happens to be native to, you guessed it, the Americas. Now if I shrink this window down, scroll down to this picture here, and bring back up Horus, you can see that this bird is the head of Horus. This is the Aplomado falcon. It is a medium-sized falcon of the Americas. Not found in Egypt or anywhere near it, only in the Americas. And it doesn't even go too far south. So, here you have Horus. Why would Horus have the head of an American falcon if Horus wasn't an American god? So I showed you in the video America the Dark Truth how Horus is George Washington, how this nation was birthed. One thing I forgot to show you, which I wanted to show you, but the video is old, is that when this nation was made out of the 13 pieces of Osiris, and one piece was missing, right? And I told you that that was the phallus, and that the Washington Monument represented the phallus, and that's how birth was given to this nation through this spell when Horus, George Washington, came into being. Okay, now I don't believe in George Washington. I don't believe these were people. These are men made in the image of fallen angels. But that's besides the point. That's my personal belief. Now, what happened? What did I show you about the Washington Monument if you look at it from above? It is the circumpunct. It has a circle with a dot in the middle. Well, the same thing holds true if we add the missing piece of Osiris. Here are the 13 pieces. Here is the phallus of Washington, D.C., the obelisk. And you have Osiris, the sun god. This is indeed the symbol for the sun god. So I just want to show you this stuff. This is the apotheosis of George Washington. I'm just trying to make a few more connections, and then I'm going to show you Moses' walk. I had mentioned that there are 72 principalities that rule over this nation. Okay? Los Angeles is the city of angels, fallen angels. Before I get to these stars, let me get to these stars. Now you will see that George Washington has liberty on his left hand and freedom on his right. These are goddesses. Now, these women surrounding them are maidens, and they hold a sign that says, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. This is talking about taking the pieces of Osiris and making Horus one. This is why George Washington is on the apotheosis in the Capitol Rotunda, because he has been exalted to godhood. This is Horus. These 13 maidens have a star over their heads. Each one has a star. There's 13 of them. And Horus is the recreation of the 13 stars. These are the 13 stars which were on the Betsy Ross flag. These are the pieces of Horus which represent the original 13 colonies. Now, this is all a narrative that I do not believe, but I'm just sharing it with you because this is how it happens. Now, this is why George Washington's tomb is empty, because they want to show you in symbolism that he is risen. The false Christ, the Antichrist, Horus, Babylon. Okay, I hope you guys can see what I'm trying to show you. Tammuz. So you can see that he has the rainbow under his feet, right? He's somewhere over the rainbow. the Wizard of Oz. I'm telling you guys, this stuff is straight up demonic. So let's zoom out a little bit and we will see. There are 72 stars that surround this apotheosis, this rising of Horus. Okay, so we have Horus, Osiris reborn. You can see the sun is a dot inside of this circle. And here we have Osiris reborn as Horus, controlling the nation and the 72 stars that surround it. Now, these stars are the fallen entities, principalities, which rule over the land of America. Something very interesting that happened this year was that director John Waters is honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So on Monday, September 18th, 2023, at 11:30 a.m., he was given a star on the Walk of Fame. Why does this matter? Because he was the 2,763rd star on the Walk of Fame. Now, if you look at this number backwards, you can see 3 6s and 72. The 72 stars of the apotheosis. Now remember, 72 is 66 plus 6. This is demonic. Not only that, do we have 3 6s there and 72 to make 3 6s there, but if you add 27 to 63, you also get 72. And it was dedicated on September 18th. Septa is 7. 7 and 1 is 8. You have 88. A portal through skull and bones by the fallen entities to bring us into damnation. I really hope you guys are seeing what I'm trying to show you. And I know this is a lot to take in. I hope I'm not going too fast, and I hope I'm explaining it in a way that is easily understood. Now, you're going to have to keep an open mind, but it should be easy after all I've shown you. So now we're going to zoom out, because I've told you that this was Egypt, okay? These are the temples that were being built by God's people. Now we zoom out, you can see the wilderness. Yes, they walked for 40 years, but the walk was only about 3 weeks. It took 40 years because they refused to come out of idolatry. So if we scroll up here, you will see, and we are going to do a side by side so we can see the scriptures. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo. So here you can see the plains of Moab. Okay? The plains of Moab. Going up to the mountain of Nebo. So he walked up to Mount Nebo. Here's Mount Nebo. To the top of Pisgah, that is over and against Jericho. So he went from Nebo to Mount Pisgah, that is over and above Jericho. So here is Mount Nebo to Mount Pisgah, which is over and above Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. Where is Gilead? Well, I told you that Satan hides the truth in lies, right? Movies, music, comics, cartoons, books, you name it. Well, to find this truth, we go no further than the book The Handmaid's Tale. And you will see in The Handmaid's Tale the Republic of Gilead. And look at that. All this property inside of this borderline. So the red is outside of it. Okay, the red is rebel occupied territory. But inside, this is all Gilead. Just like it says here in the Bible. Gilead. So he's showing him the entire U.S. If we go over here to Massachusetts and zoom in, you will see that there is Mount Gilead. So he is on the Mount of Pisgah, looking all across, all the way to the Mount of Gilead. Now I know some of you are probably thinking you can't see that far. Well, understand the Lord was showing Moses everything he wanted him to see. The Lord can cause you to see whatever he wants you to see. Did Moses actually see over here? I have no idea. All I can tell you is that as far as Moses could see, he was seeing. This is the promised land, America. So what else? Let's zoom back in. All right. And all Naphtali in the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh in the land of Judah unto the utmost sea. Now, Utah is Judah. Okay? The J sound is a Y sound. So, Utah. Okay, here you have from Judah to the utmost sea. So, he's seeing all of this over here. And then he's also seeing from Utah to the utmost sea. And south, okay, remember he is on Mount Pisgah, right? And the south and the plain of the valley of Jericho. So south from Mount Pisgah is the plain and the valley of Jericho, which is right here. This is the valley of Jericho under the mountains. And the city of palm trees unto Zoar. Where are the palm trees? Well, they are in Florida. Right? Where's Zoar? Right up here inside of Canada. So you will see that if we look at the map of Gilead again, that goes all the way up here. This is the land of palm trees, all the way up to here. So he's showing them, hey, you own, this is all the promised land. Everything. From Utah to the sea, over down there to the south in the land of Valley of Jericho, over to the land of palm trees, up to Zoar. So let's highlight. We got the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea, and the south of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees up into Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land I swear unto Abraham and unto Isaac and Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses the servant of the Lord died there in the land of Moab. He buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. Yeah, you know why? Because he was buried here, in Moab. So they will not find him. Now, let's look at a few more things. Here is Ephraim. Here is Nephi, Naphtali. Here is the Jordan River, okay, which goes all the way down through Utah. Here is the Salt Lake. And here is the sea that the Lord dried up the Jordan River. So, how can we get more proof besides what I'm showing you? That this United States is the promised land and Judah is Utah. Judah is the tribe which gave us Jesus. This was the preserved line. So Judah will represent Christ. So what would Satan want to do to a land that was given to the Lord's people as a promise? Well, obviously he would want to corrupt it. Well, Utah is the only state in the United States which is owned, operated, and controlled by the Mormons. The Mormons are anti-Christ. They are a religious cult that believe they are going to become gods, just like the pharaohs of old. You can research Utah and see that it is a Mormon state, the only Mormon state. I've been there. Budweiser makes special beer just for Utah because they only allow a certain alcohol percentage to be in beers. So if you want to sell your beer in Utah, you need to make a special beer. I know that from when I was younger and traveling cross countries, not from now, because I don't drink beer. But I'm just trying to show you what kind of power they have. This is also where the Angel Network is based out of. The network that brought you Chosen, that misleading fake Christian program that certain people love. That show is demonic and unscriptural, does not stick to the biblical storyline, and is made to mislead you. They also put out Sound of Freedom, which I did a video about. And one thing I didn't add into there is they wanted to make all you parents afraid that your kids are going to be kidnapped so that you put a chip in them, like people do with their pets. Okay, this is high demonic spell work coming out of this one area, Utah, the Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints. They're not saints at all. They are antichrist, Christ-denying, self-proclaimed God people. And they are trying to push their corruption across America. So this is the last walk of Moses. He led all of Israel out of Egypt and then was led by the Lord on this walk to these mountaintops to be shown all of America, the promised land. This is why this land is the springboard for the NWO. This is why this is Mystery Babylon. What better place to corrupt and turn into Mystery Babylon than the promised land that the Lord promised to his people? This is what Satan does. He corrupts everything God says is good. That is the purpose of Satan. He wants to corrupt everything that God says is good. Satan corrupts. God says, I'm giving you the promised land, a land of milk and honey. So Satan came in with his dark deceptions and turned it into Mystery Babylon. Now there's one more proof I have for you. I'm going to read you a few more verses of scripture, which is the linchpin to show you that this is 100% ancient Egypt. Now remember, there is nothing new under the sun. That which shall be again. Now the Lord is talking to his people. So let's read. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even the great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and
of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. So he's telling his people that if they don't obey his word, that the 10 plagues he unleashed on Egypt will be unleashed on his people. Also, every sickness and every plague which was not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring unto thee, until thou be destroyed. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as stars of the heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass, that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good, and multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning, for the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. Now here is the linchpin. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So you can see here the Lord is clearly talking about sending them back into bondage, into slavery. Okay, how long were God's people slaves in Egypt, did the Bible tell us? For 400 years, until Moses led them out. And then they were scattered across the earth. Now the Lord's saying that if they don't obey his word, it says, And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Tell me, how did the slaves get here? In America, with ships. Columbus, the slave trade. They were sold into bondage. They feared day and night for their lives, because in America during slavery, the people were not looked at as human, and they could be killed for any or no reason at all. And their feet will have no rest, and they will find no ease, and they will have a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. So, when Moses brought the slaves out of Egypt, from here out of Egypt, and gave them the promised land, Satan corrupted them, and they fell out of God's good grace, and were scattered across the earth. Then God promised them to bring them back to Egypt on ships. Okay, so America is Egypt, the promised land. Bring them back here on ships and sell them into bondage, which is exactly what happened for 400 years. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm showing you, because if you can grasp a hold of this, this is mind-blowing information, because I'm giving you proofs that break down the narrative that we've been taught our whole lives. I'm showing you scriptures and areas that show you and correlate exactly with the Bible. and that Egypt over the seas is a sister country of this country. Same principalities are ruling over Egypt that are ruling over the United States. That is why there's so many similarities. That is why there are pyramids all over the Americas and pyramids all over Egypt. This is why there are pyramids all over the world, because this used to be a world power. And we've just been taught to believe what we're told is history, so we never question it. So that finally, when it does come time to question it, it seems ridiculous to us because that's not what we believe, because we were taught otherwise. Well, it's time for God's people to get out of the box and be released from the matrix and seek truth, not narrative. And what I'm showing you here, this is truth. This is the promised land. This is exactly why Satan wanted to corrupt it. What better trophy for the devil than to corrupt the promised land that God gave his people so that they could be scattered and brought back into bondage? This is what Satan always does to what God calls good. Well, you guys, that is the presentation. I hope I showed you enough so that you can get the gist of what I was saying. I know this is a lot to wrap your head around, especially if you've never heard this stuff before. If you haven't, then this might sound absolutely crazy. But that is why I use scripture and give you proofs, many proofs, not just a couple, many. That's why I walked you through the whole process of how this nation was created, to deceive the masses into believing this is the new world, when in fact it is the old world. Satan likes to hide the truth in plain sight, and what he's done to this nation is no different. So I pray that the Lord give you this understanding, because the more truths that you can grab a hold of, the more you are released from the matrix, the more you'll be able to see. And we need to be able to see all of truth. It is important that we see the truth, because we must worship the Father in truth. And in order to do that, we must have the truth. Take care.